CHN representing China, Jiaxuan, ZHANG, and HUANG, 17 and 22 years of age. This is a new partnership. Their first ISU event together. They're coached by Yang Ding and choreographed by Weijing Shui. Skating to Dive by Ed Sheeran.
So many thoughts on the performance of Jiaxuan ZHANG and Yihan HUANG from China. And my first thought, though, is just that I hope that she is okay, because I thought I heard a pickup on the audio there of her in pain after that big fall, and it was a huge throw.
It was a huge throw, that's for sure. I didn't pick up on that audio, but of course I'm deaf. So no, the thing is that this team actually has a connection between the two, and you see shades of. You can see that the development of the skating skills and the choreography is in the mode of what some of the top Chinese teams have had in the past. We even had to a certain degree. But they're still early on and still very young, but there's some really good elements in here. I don't mean technical elements, good aspects of their skating.
And I think that you can see the influence of Weijing Shui, their choreographer, the Olympic reigning champion. I think you can see that in the choreography and the deftness of touch. And if I think about the history and my understanding of what their choreographer had, they had Laurie Nichols, so immeasurably integral to their success. And I know how long Laurie Nichols would spend on just an arm movement, and you can see that attention to detail in the composition. What this team doesn't at present have is the fundamental skating skill development that was embedded in Zhu Zhen and Hong Bo-Zhao and Pang and Tong and some of the greatest of the Chinese dynasty of pair skaters.
But 17 and 22, and perhaps they're relatively new. I look at their bio here. I don't see any international experience. Now, maybe the bio is not correct. I don't know, but we don't see a lot of international competitions, and yet this is still a very good standard, even with the mistakes, a very good standard without a lot of experience. And when that experience starts to come into play, There's a beautiful double axles there. Good flow out. Huge throw here.
And that had, painful as it was looking, that had the similarities in technique that we have seen from so many Chinese pro teams.
Exactly. Great lift, good pickup, and nice ice coverage on those turns. We see just the end of the program right here. A little sensitivity, really nice detail with the arms and the hands going towards the judges. Again, I see a lot of raw, I want to say, refined rawness.
Yeah, no,
you know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. In terms of the movement, the actual quality of body alignment, I think, is the where the development could be. But the emotional sensitivity appeared. Emotional musical sensitivity.
I'm not sure what the scores are going to be, but this team, when they get a little tighter together and have all the elements, which are beautiful elements, just had a mistake in the throw triple Salchow, this team is going to be a contender for the final, perhaps in the Junior Grand Prix. And no, it's really good. And
again, as I've mentioned previously, apologies if I'm boring people with the repetition of it, but this one of the 4 teams who are exploiting that age change, and Yihan HUANG at 22 years old is the oldest competitor that we have seen of all those participating in Riga and benefiting from it.
But totally, because he needs to get that experience with this partner now at the junior level before you move into senior, because that's a completely different level. And but they're already getting the basics. You can see the bases are under development, are under construction to become really strong seniors as well in time.
And when we've discussed, why the rationale behind that age change may be, because for senior events, the 4 continents for this team, the World Championships, there are minimum technical elements scores. And if a team is forced to move up prematurely, then they may be so adrift of those tech scores that they get despondent. Whereas in the juniors, there is not a minimum required score to compete in a junior Grand Prix, so they can amass the experience that will be crucial later in their career.
Well, you can see our coach working with this young woman and just, keeping her. You never know, we wouldn't know, but the coaches know what is in the athlete's head, whether they're overthinking, whether they're taking things too casual or whatever. So the coach's work is not in teaching a skill. The coach's work is in helping a person grow, and that is, you have to listen a lot, and you have to read it a lot, and then you have to say a little, but it has to be effective.
And when we have looked at this first day of competition on this first Junior Grand Prix of the 2024 season, we've obviously seen lots of skaters, lots of different skating nations. We can almost tell from the coaches, the style of coach that we're seeing.
It's true.
And just their reactions, their body language, their energy to their students post-performance.
Yeah.
Some of which very stoic, very hardened. Perhaps they're just totally fixated upon the points and the results. Some of them.
And with the changing, with how the world has changed, and word choice is very important, obviously, in how we handle our young people and how we handle our coaching, that you need to establish what are the types of phrases and words that resonate with the athlete, and how do you deliver that in the type of tone that you need to perhaps communicate urgency, but also it's okay, type of thing. So it is better, but at times more complicated for people that would coach based on emotion, based on communication skills. And it's the same thing in school, of course.
And I think while we're watching this junior event, we've discussed this Shape Hearts campaign and the acknowledgement of the fact that words can be very cutting and very intense, and I think that is never more relevant than with teenagers.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even like for me, I had glorious, gorgeous coaches who were so supportive and kind, but I remember I could take things even out of context as a teenager and be really sensitive to what the coach would say, and so that's why the coaches really do have to be very much on guard. I'm
happy to know, at least do I know, that you don't take my comments towards you with, you don't go home and cry or anything, do you?
Well,
yeah, no.
No. Toughened up a little.
Yeah, sense of humor and keeping your feet grounded, it's so important. And that's the type of thing you want to teach these young skaters, is that this is great. It's skating and chase your dreams and go for it at all, but it's not your full life. It's just part of it. Yeah. It's a great part. So we're having another little glitch or bit of time in getting the scores in. I can see that on the penalty. working at it. 2 out of the 10 judges have got all the scores in. There must be something up. We'll report to that if we find out, but that's okay.
Currently, it's North American stranglehold of the podium places in this pairs event, and that was a recurring theme a little bit last season as well. So Jasmine Desrochers and Kieran Thrasher lead the field with 55.41. How will ZHANG and HUANG fare in comparison to the likes of that score, and then beat Olivia Flores and Luke Wang, who lie in second place, just a point.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting battle because, and we saw this last year as well, that was relatively tight in the top 3 or 4 in those pairs, and things did change significantly. And then when we got to the Grand Prix final, Junior Grand Prix final, it changed again, which is really good. This is really healthy because they push each other, and you don't know what's going to happen, and the pressure's on. And the sooner that you can learn how to handle pressure, to deal with it, and use it to your advantage, the better. And that can happen here in the juniors before you enter the seniors. Let's take a look at the scores for the short program. 54.21, that's going to put them in 3rd place. So North America doesn't have the full stranglehold of the, you jinxed it. There you go, and there's a look at the top 5 teams.
Close for the
event, very close, 55, 54, 54, and that's what I talked about now.